Joining us is Tennessee State Senator Stacey Campfield. He's the sponsor of Senate Bill 49. Some are calling it the Don't Say Gay bill. This is a controversial bill for sure. We've been getting a number of emails about it. Thanks for joining us, Senator.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me your motivation for proposing this bill several years ago and then again seemingly yearly since you were a representative and now in the state Senate as well.
Yeah, well, it really came up, though. There's been a large push to advocate in some situations, either for or against the lifestyle, like the homosexual lifestyle. And I said, listen, it's a very controversial topic. Some people are for it. Some people are against it. And I thought, at least at the very young children, let's let the families decide when the child is mature enough to handle those situations, that conversation, and let the parents decide what they want to teach the child about it.
So when you say
for the very young children, it's K through 8, so it's,
yeah. So when you say the lifestyle, is it safe to say that you believe homosexuality is a choice? In other words, it's a lifestyle choice like any other?
Well, so far I haven't seen anything that's proven there's a gay gene. That has not been proven to me. I have not seen anything that's, honestly, I'm not saying it is or not. I just haven't seen anything that proves it's anything but a learned behavior.
You're not sure. Okay. When did you decide to be heterosexual? I assume you're heterosexual.
No, I think heterosexuality is the norm, and a lot of times people learn to do different things. Different people do different things.
So in other words, everyone is born straight, but some percentage of people choose to be gay.
Well, once again, I've not seen anything that says it's genetic. I have not seen any proof of that.
Okay. So I really want to get to the bill, the specifics of the bill. My concerns with it are that, for example, on CNN, you said the idea is to prevent people from pushing one agenda or another, and that's kind of the reason for the bill. But the proposal says very clearly, even though you just told me you want parents making the decision about when kids can hear about homosexuality, you're making the decision in the bill by saying heterosexuality can be taught in K through 8. So isn't there an agenda inherently being pushed there?
Well, the reason I brought that left the heterosexuality part in is because there's obviously, I'm sure you may know, there's been lawsuits said before regarding things that, when they try to do that sort of thing and stop that, they said, well, you'd be banning, you wouldn't be able to talk about XY chromosomes and how, basic reproduction works. And that's something I think, okay, in the very young ages, if we need to talk about the bare bones basics of reproduction, how people reproduce, I think that's something that should be allowed and is relative to science class. I don't think, I guess sexuality issues are as important.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned that it's relative or relevant, as I might say, to science class, because I was doing some research and I looked at the text of the bill, and I'm sure you're familiar with the scientific method, correct?
Fine. Which
So
I don't think I talked about the scientific method in the bill at all.
No, you don't. But my question is, I was looking up the scientific method, and that to me is something that very clearly relates to science class, just as a part of teaching kids. And the scientific method was pioneered by Sir Francis Bacon. Now, Sir Francis Bacon was gay. Does that fall under the umbrella which you say that there shall be no material or instruction that relates to homosexuality? Sir Francis Bacon being gay, does that mean the scientific method is off the table?
No, I just don't think we should be talking about his sexuality. I don't see any reason that we should be saying to little children, hey, Joe and Jim are lovers or anything along those lines. I just don't think that's appropriate for very young children. I think we should leave that issue alone. Let kids be kids. I don't see why we have to push it on to very young children what someone's sexuality is.
I presume there are gay teachers in Tennessee?
I would imagine so.
Okay, so would a gay teacher be in violation of this amendment if they were to refer to their partner Joe, for example? Is that something you also would not want?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to bring that up as part of the class. I don't see any reason to bring that up as part of learning mathematics or science or anything. I don't see how it's relevant to us learning what schools should be doing, which is teaching the children, the basics.
So to be very clear, under the bill you're proposing, a teacher who is gay would not be able to even refer in passing to the fact that he has a male partner.
Not as part of your course curricula. No, that's what it talks about. As part of your course curricula, you could not be bringing up. I don't think it's relevant to the class.
So, but the question is, if it's mentioned in the classroom, does that mean it's part of the curricula?
No, a passing comment isn't, but if you're trying to make it part of the curricula, yes.
Okay. And if a child were to ask about what is homosexuality, my friend has two dads, if the questions come up, does the teacher stay silent, just pretend to be mute? Do they say, I'm not allowed to talk about that? How do they handle that?
I would say, if it were me, I would just say, I think that's an issue you need to talk to your parents about. I don't think that's an issue. I should be saying, hey, I think homosexuals are evil, dirty, and nasty, or homosexuals are wonderful people. Like I said, I think we should leave that up to the families to decide instead of someone with an agenda, be it pro or con.
So families should decide whether they want to teach their kids that homosexuals are bad people.
Or good people.
Or good people. What do you think? I mean, do you support gay marriage? Do you support gay rights?
We already had it. We have a constitutional amendment that you can't have gay marriage in Tennessee.
But what's your personal opinion?
Of what? Gay rights in which way?
Do you believe
special rights? No, I don't believe you should have special rights. I think all people are equal and should be treated equal.
Okay, so in other words, all people should be able to get married, regardless of sexual orientation?
If they fit our standard for what marriage is, yes.
Gotcha. I think I follow. Let me ask a kind of a different question, because I really do want, and we're speaking, by the way, with Tennessee State Senator Stacey Campfield. Senate Bill 49 is what we're discussing. Tennessee District 7, which is your district, there's about 13% of children living in poverty there. There's unemployment. My question is, and I've been receiving this from some of your constituents, wouldn't your time as a legislator be better spent on creating jobs or getting children out of poverty than making it so teachers can't refer to homosexuality? I mean, isn't every minute spent on this bill as opposed to that a disservice to your constituents?
Well, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you don't know Tennessee politics and how that works. The state legislature does not make the budget. The governor makes the budget.
We're not talking about budgets. In other words, there's much that state senators can do in terms of addressing issues of child poverty and unemployment. It's not just about line items.
Well, you talk about a lot of that stuff is economic development, recruiting new businesses and that sort of thing. What we try and do is create a level playing field so that businesses find Tennessee as a place that's very positive to work. Tennessee's got some great things. We do not have a state income tax, which is wonderful.
Yeah, but regardless of the tax rate,
it's a great place to live, and it's a great place to start a business.
Sure. Well, I made no claims about whether your district was business friendly or not. My question was more just when there are so many issues like 13% of children living in poverty, whether it makes sense to worry about teachers referring to homosexuality. I don't know if.
Yeah, I think that's something that families should be. And it gets back to a lot of times, who do you believe is best at raising your children? Is it you or is it the state? And I'm personally of the belief that it's the parents that have the best usually raising the child. And obviously in cases where there's abuse or something, that's another story. But in most cases, I trust the families much more than I trust some foreign entity to decide what is best for the child.
But Senator, you have to see how that's clearly hypocritical, because while you're saying the state should not be involved in raising children in these issues, the Senate Bill 049 is you are part of the state legislature talking about heterosexuality should be taught and homosexuality can't be mentioned. You are deciding it. How is that not the state making a list of what can and can't be taught to kids regarding sexuality?
Because if you're saying what is more government versus what is less government, my bill is removing duties and responsibilities and things that government is doing, and is instead saying this is something the family should do. This is a reduction of government, not an increase in government.
It's a new bill, though. It's a new bill addressing what can and can't be taught. To me, that seems like more government, not less.
Well, you can't have. There's always going to be a bill to reduce something. If you're going to reduce something, you have to have a bill to do it.
My last question, Senator, is there's a recent study that we talked about on the show last week, and it makes very, very clear that, and this is a really serious issue, that gay and lesbian children are many times more likely to consider suicide than straight children. And a huge factor in that is how accepting they perceive their environment to be. Now, for most kids, their environment is in great part the school they're in. They're spending a lot of time with those teachers and school staff. Aren't you concerned that this is a bill that will absolutely make gay and lesbian kids believe they are in a less welcoming environment and could actually affect that child suicide rate? Are you not concerned about that?
I think it could do just the opposite, actually. If a teacher is advocating against the lifestyle, is saying what that is dirty, it's filthy, it's wrong, it's an abomination.
Is that what you believe?
Which could happen, yes. I think my bill would stop that.
So you're actually saying that not allowing children to engage with the school's counselors, teachers, and staff about their feelings on how they are feeling and homosexuality and lesbianism, that could actually prevent suicides, is what you're saying?
I think it could, depending on the point of view of the teacher or the faculty member or the staff member, yes.
All right. Well, Senate Bill 49, we'll see what happens with it. Tennessee State Senator Stacey Campfield, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.